I'm Jason, this is the Freeburg Garage. Today we are on part 4 of the Harley-Davidson FXRT Build. We're putting together the S&S carb, or taking it apart, see what's going on with it, see what we need for the rebuild, and then diving into the front end of this bike once again, looking over the wiring, get it all straightened out, unfucked from what it was before. Alright guys, so last video I had was the S&S carb, showing what we got from the swap meet I picked up. Of course, we have a Super E that we're going to be diving into, see what the insides have for that. I was able to track down some pieces that the kit did not have, which is this original backplating on this. This is able to mount on the 92 and down Evo systems with the bottom breather heads. So the mounts for these S&S carbs are completely different from what you find out there. So found this one, so we're good to mount that up. We still have our intake, of course, that will match up to what we have. And then see if we can salvage this cover that has the shovel head style on the backing. And then of course I picked up some of the mounting, I don't know what I call them, gaskets, flanges for the intake manifold itself. So we have about 95% there. Still need to get some gaskets. I waited off because I want to see what's inside the car before we start buying a bunch of extra stuff that I don't need. Alright, so let's get into this Super E carb. First and most important, get it cleaned up. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is remove the bottom bowl, get all the extra pieces off of here, get this gasket off, make sure we save everything, don't lose any of the bolts here. Alright, gasket there, good there, any loose items, and we'll remove these as well. Carb looked pretty decent, still does, I should say, when I picked it up from the swap meet. Came off a shovel head. So I know the jets are completely different from what we need on the Evo, but the carb will work the same. Work off the accelerator pump, and the biggest difference between these S&S carbs, CV carbs, is that there are some very small springs and gaskets inside of here. Most of these can always be tracked down, replaced and whatnot, but what you want to do is save as much as we can. No need to buy anything additional that we don't need. Oof. It's feeling crusty. Oh boy, look at that. Old fuel that's almost like oil. Oh yeah, definitely due for a nice cleaning in there. Wow, there we go. There's these little teeny ball bearings that are easily lost right in this diaphragm here. Pull that apart. Good there, good there. All right, let's get the bottom bowl now pulled off. All these bolts that are on here, pretty cleaned up. They're not chewed up, which you see that quite a bit if the carb has been in and out. Looks like this carb is possibly was just put on the bike and then pretty much ran until it was disassembled. That's how these S&S carbs work. They're very easy to work with. Settings and everything, that's why I allow it to go with the S&S carb, because the performance that you get out of it by just kind of setting it and forgetting it. Now these aren't the absolute best, some they are. I feel like they're just a solid carb that will give you what you're looking for over possibly the CV carb. There we go. Alright, now I do know S&S, when it's their rebuild kit, will always have S&S stuff generally on it. Now, if this was the older one, maybe they didn't have it from the factory from the shovel time when they were building these, but this could definitely be an aftermarket kit that was put on this, which is not a big deal. That gasket here is usually nice and round and plush. This thing is very flat, so that could have been a future problem there. That set screw right out of there. All right. Pull this up, there we go. Needle still looks good. Point still there. These usually just get worn down. They need to be replaced. That still looks good, I like it. The insides definitely look like there is a lot of garbage. Oh my. But that's why we're doing this. It's easy to do. Once you do it once or twice, you kind of start to memorize where a lot of stuff's at. And I'm gonna remove the bottom drain there. Oh man, yep, there's all the carbon buildup, so knock that out before we put that in the basket. This is pretty much good to go. Everything else can stay in there. Bottom bowl is set. Start loading up some of the smaller stuff already in the basket, the carb cleaning basket. That's what I use right here for all my carb clean stuff. It works really well, especially the longer you let it sit in there. Throw the bolts in, clean up that there before we throw it in. Got a lot out of there. Throw that in the basket. Now, let's take part of the rest of the carb here, and we'll pull apart the accelerator pump the rest of its way here first. Actually, gummed up. Put that in the basket. It's all dry rotted, so we'll end up replacing that there. Start removing some of the jets now, or how bad these are. 295. Pull out the idle jet, I believe, on this side of what S&S would call it. This looks like a 72. In the basket. I'm gonna pull that off. Oh yeah, there we go. That's got some nice carbon buildup. Throw that in. Mixture screw here. Pull that. Whew. Dirtied up tip, spring. Throw that in there. And then I'm gonna see if I can, yeah, I should be able to pull that off. Looks not too bad. All right, so we're gonna pull this off as well. It's for our cables. Pull off our idle screw here. All right, we're gonna pull apart the choke there. Whoop. Oh yeah, carbon buildup pretty good. Seems like this whole carb has that same frequency going across, so I'm just going down, right down to the bare bones of this. Normally I would just put the whole carb in and call it good, but because this is unknown to me, I'm just gonna strip it all the way down and dump it in at that point. Those are out. Now we can pull pin here. All right, we are down to the bare bones. That's everything off the carb. We're good to put the whole basket of parts in. That sink in there, carb on top. What I'll end up doing is transitioning that halfway through a couple days or the next day or so, flip it all around, make sure it gets everywhere. And I'll get the other pieces like the manifold eventually in there and clean it. But for now, that carb is fully disassembled. We are good for the next time to reassemble. Got to track down some parts for the full rebuild. What we got on that? Let's dive into the front end. Let's grab some electrical. Let's get it done. All right, so while the carb is being cleaned up, soaked, and getting ready for reassembly, we're gonna dive into the electrical, which is gonna be real fun because we are undoing this FXRS style. It hurts me because the bike runs the way it is, but just gotta dive into it and recorrect what we need to get that FXRT fairing plugged back in. Now we have turn signals that are up here, not supposed to be there. We have a headlight here, not supposed to be here. This is a 5 3/4. It's supposed to be the 7-inch one, and it also has a wire harness that's looped, so we're gonna get that corrected. And then we have all of our original FXRT fairing harness, which is our main component that we're gonna need for this build. Now this control board especially has to be there because that's what connects onto the FXRT fairing, and then from there it gives us all of our electrical going into the radio, the turn signals, the headlight, everything for it to work. Now, I wanna get into this and make sure everything works because we still have the original controls that go with the FXRT, and I want to be able to control the radio. As old as it is, it has hand controls to control the radio, and I want to bring that back. It's a real cool piece of this bike that it was just high-tech technology for Harley back in the day. So that's what we're gonna do. We can start tearing apart more of it and then kind of see where this lays out, and it should give me an idea a little bit better where we need to be at, or figure out what we need to solder or reconnect wires. So let's get rid of the old junk that's on here, get it done. We're gonna remove the other fog light first, get rid of this wiring. That should help clear things up. Removed. We're starting to see the original harness here, which is good. It's exciting. We have this wire right here, which goes to those old fog lights. Remove this, fish it through. Looks like that's gonna go up and under the tank, so we're probably gonna have to remove the tank here soon. Get everything pulled back before we do. We have some other wiring that's been cut and crimped. I don't know if that was the original turn signals, which is why we have a service manual to see where the wiring goes. Man, some of these pieces that are in here are just atrocious. Like I just found this one here. That's not, yeah, look at that. literally soldered and then they've just put some wrap on it, so that looks like crap. I'm making this worse or better, but we're just gonna keep plugging away and pulling it apart. And then we have this wiring here that's going into the tank. So I have to pull that off. And then we'll get these removed here. And then there's even, I believe, yep, there we go, buttons for these fog lights. So we'll pull those off. Pull off the Speedo up here. Give us some more area. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna have to remove the headlight now, eyebrow, and the tack. Get all apart. I was trying to do bit by bit a little bit, but I'm getting caught in between everything. So it's all gonna have to hang. This is terrible, you guys gotta see this. Pulling the tack, and that's how the wire is just spun on. That's it, it's terrible. All right, get back to pulling it apart. Everything untangled, which is what I was looking for. This is the difference. This was tucked up, wound up right here. This is supposed to be pretty much on the front end of the FXRT on the other side where the windshield is and the dashboard is. That's how much is in here. And I can disconnect here and kind of start working my way and figure out what needs to be resoldered on here. So awesome improvement there, all right? So we got everything disconnected there. I'm gonna pull the dash here. That should see where our layout is. There it is, all torn apart. We got the headlight off, turn signals, gas tank, wire harness all laid out for the FXRT. I'm pretty pumped. There's some things that I thought were gonna be a lot worse, and they are better. And I can now properly do my wiring how I want it, soldering, heat shrink, everything properly done. More exciting things to come with these episodes, guys. So, as always, if you have made it all the way through, I would greatly appreciate if you could hit the subscribe button, tap that like, press the notification, leave a comment below, and tell me what you think. For those that have already subscribed, thank you, and as always, stay free. I'll catch you guys later. Peace!